Blake Neff, give us the rundown of this Jay Jones story, and then we're going to have Virginia residents chime in. Well, you're not, but she is.
Yeah. So this is all unfolding in Virginia. This is Jay Jones. He's the Democrat running for Attorney General in Virginia. So chief law enforcement officer.
So like the top
of
cop.
The state. Top cop. And so this is published by National Review last week. It's covering text messages from 2022. What had happened then was a moderate Democrat had died, and there had been a funeral for him, and a Republican who was also somewhat moderate had given, a generally positive eulogy at a memorial or the funeral, something like that. And afterwards, Jones sends text messages, and he meant to send this to someone else, Mark. We don't know what Mark yet, I believe. Where he's just basically saying, barf, I'm so annoyed at this, positive saccharine stuff. And he says, if I die, they'll say something gross about me. But then, even though he realizes he's been sending this to the wrong person, and in fact, it's a Republican in the state legislature, he just starts going off. Let's put up 231. And so he says, 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, that's the Republican he's mad at. Hitler and Pol Pot. Gilbert, if you have, 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head over Hitler and over Pol Pot.
We do have these images. So,
and 231.
There it is.
And he says, spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time.
Jeez Louise.
And the Republican replies, Jay, please stop. And what's incredible about this is his reaction to this is not to stop or say, oh, sorry, I meant this for someone else. According to National Review, what he proceeded to do was call this woman on the phone, and we don't have that conversation, but according to someone familiar, probably the woman herself, he proceeds to berate her and, push her and say, no, I really mean this. Stop being soft on the death question. And he apparently told her that he wished violence on the children of a colleague and joked about shooting Todd Gilbert. And he hoped that Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. And then after this call, he starts sending follow-up texts where he's still needling her on this and saying, no, you don't get it. When children die, it's the only way that people will change their views on politics. So I actually said on X that I'm somewhat understanding if this was he was talking to a friend of his and said an extreme thing as a one-off. People say weird things in group text. They say stuff they don't really mean because they're heated and it's private. But this is, he sent a message to someone who didn't agree with it. They said, that's gross. You shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
And he calls them to harangue them for not agreeing this, for being soft on the death of your opponent's children question. And repeatedly did this. We have more. Let's put up 232. He sent additional messages where he said, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. And then 233, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. Said all of this. So this has all come out now. And what we've seen is Democrats are basically saying, too bad, he's a Democrat. He should still stay in the race, and we should vote for him.
234 is a really important
234.
image.
This is the Virginia Beach Democrats. That is the largest city in Virginia, where they say that they're still supporting Jones despite recent press spotlighting past mistakes. Now, for comparison, because this is relevant, this guy, Jay Jones, publicly called for the resignation of a Norfolk Police Department officer because he donated money to Kyle Rittenhouse's defense fund in 2020.
Yeah.
So donating to support someone who was acquitted after he was attacked
and was in self-defense.
Yeah, in self-defense after being attacked by a literal sex predator in the streets of Kenosha.
A whole mob, but
a whole mob, but specifically the one he shot, and should be fired for donating to that defense. But this guy directly, repeatedly, emphatically fantasizes about the violent death of his opponent's children.
Well, so Molly and Sean, have any Democrats disavowed this guy or denounced him, called for his withdrawal from the race? Or?
Well, I actually did a lot of research this morning when we were prepping for the show, and I put together a list.
Yeah,
and I've got it here in my notebook here.
So this is the Michael Knowles book.
This is the full list of every elected Democrat who has denounced Jay Jones's wishing death upon children.
Can we zoom in on that?
I've got really small handwriting. So sometimes it can be hard to see. Not one person Joe Scarborough on MSNBC, I think, is the only public Democrat,
I'm
but
going to
no
get that
actual
clip
elected
ready
one.
just to give him some flowers for actually being like a little bit sane here, which is...
What does that say when Joe Scarborough is your moral North Star?
I think after the election, Joe actually, tried to say, hey, we need to wake up a little bit. I saw some clips, at least.
Andrew, Sean always tells me I'm too nice, and I want to say that to you right now. You are way too nice. This
Well,
guy-
listen, I'm feeling warm feelings that, okay, I'm not going crazy. You should get out of this race, Jay Jones. You should. And at least one person. I'm looking for somebody here. It's like John Fetterman sometimes makes me go good for him, even though he doesn't vote the right way.
It's actually the opposite. So that letter you showed from the Virginia Beach Democrats, 8 other Democrat committees in Virginia have signed on to that letter. That letter says, by the way, who among us has not done something similar? And I'm
Who
thinking,
among us has not
really,
called somebody?
I've never called for the assassination of my political opponents or wished death on their children ever. I mean, it wouldn't even occur to me. But I think they're telling on themselves there when they say this. The reason why everyone's standing behind him and doing so vociferously is because I think we're seeing a party that has kind of fallen into support for left-wing violence. The thing you mentioned, Blake, about him going after that police lieutenant, who I think lost his career, by the way, for that $25 donation to Kyle Rittenhouse, is that it's all in the same package as the support for BLM riots. It's about the breakdown of law and order. It's about using power to go after your political opponents and do so violently. And it's kind of breaking out into the open. It's related to what we saw after the assassination. Was the response to the assassination was almost more horrifying in some ways, realizing that there were so many people who supported this level of political violence against people like me and my children.
Well, I mean, that's really sick because, you guys are, and you're in the D.C. swamp. So you see this. I mean, what bothered me, I'll never forget the most, was where there was a shouting match on the floor of Congress over a moment of silence and a word of prayer. And Ilhan Omar and AOC are getting in there. I mean, I could not believe it. And God bless Anna Paulina Luna for standing up for Charlie. But I was like, can we not have unanimity about political violence? Are we really at that point as a country where some people are like, well, punch a Nazi, it's really taken to the next level, especially in the aftermath of what happened to Charlie. You would think that would be like an aha moment. And instead for some people, it's the exact opposite.
Have you seen those yard signs that people have in their houses that say, in this house, we believe science is for real and whatever.
Yeah.
I saw someone say that the sign should now say, in this house, we believe Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. He receives both bullets every time. Yes, I hope his kids die. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. Republicans are evil. Their children are little fascists.
And remember,
those are all quotes from the guy.
Gosh,
this is the movement, by the way.
Sign right here.
Oh, I
Keep
love
in
it.
mind. Keep in mind.
Send me.
I texted it to you.
Keep in mind, this is the original version of the sign says, "Kindness is everything."
Right.
There's another tweet from about a year ago that says, when I say, I hate libs, I mean I disagree with them, but I would save them in a flood. And when they say kindness is everything, they mean they want to kill my entire family.
Yeah, it as much as the left loves masks and loves wearing masks, part of their religion, kind of shocking to watch them use Charlie's death as their ultimate mask off moment where they're just decided we're going to let everyone see our true nature here. And Molly's right that what was so disturbing is it wasn't just that they were okay with him being killed. They were not just signaling, but just outright admitting, we'd kind of be fine if all of you people got killed too. Like it was, and your families and your dogs.
I want to throw up this image, 265. It still horrifies me because this poll was taken September 12th through 15th. So we're within 5 days of Charlie being assassinated. And what you see here is the younger you are and the more progressive you are, the more that you are willing to agree with this statement that violence is justified, in order to achieve a political goal. You see that big outlier on the left, and even candidly, 40 to 59-year-old progressives are wildly violent. You don't get into some sort of range of normal, I guess. 0 should be the answer. It should be the answer, but you don't get into some range of normal until you're 60 plus as a progressive, apparently. But that terrifying node on that graph should send chills down your spine.
Okay, so I remember like 20 years ago, you started seeing polls showing that you would poll campuses and they would say, we don't support free speech anymore. And I would always talk with these people in Washington, D.C., and they say, oh, don't worry about it. When they get older, that's just the campus radicals and activism. And when they get out in the real world, then it will be much better. And instead, what happened is those people got out of school and they started incorporating these ideas into corporations, which are involved in horrific censorship, in these cultures at corporations that are very hostile to free expression and debate. And it's just been a very bad situation. I'm not shocked to see this go this way because that's what happens with censorship.
Yeah, it starts with censorship, it moves to destruction of statues, and it always ends with the murder of people every time. That's why you have to fight the censorship.
But Sean, we've never tried communism before. Not the right way. It's never been
true communism's never been tried.
And by the way, Charlie used to always say, he said, what happens on campus doesn't stay on campus. It goes to corporations, boardrooms, and the halls of Congress. And man,
correct.
Has he been proven right?
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.